You were putting on your mic pack very confidently. Were you like an aerobics instructor back in the day or something?
I'm a worship leader.
Oh, well, oh, okay.
I've been for 35 years.
Really?
So I don't usually wear the lapel. I usually handheld, but I've been around mics a lot. I was a voice major in college.
Oh, okay.
So I got a little music background.
Very good. Very good. So MÜV Fitness, tell us a little bit about what they're up to now.
Well, we're staying busy. I mean, like everybody, I think the challenges with COVID have also created opportunities, and so we're certainly in an expansion mode right now. Just added 2 new clubs in the last year. Most recently, we opened up in June up in Everett, Washington. We've just signed a new lease in Troutdale, Oregon for a 55,000 square foot club. That's going to be it'll be a wonderful facility for us. And so we're continuing. We have several LOIs out. So as a brand, we are really expanding right now. And it's been fortunate, been challenges for everybody, but then those challenges create opportunity.
So how would you define what MÜV is? How do you differentiate yourself from everyone else? You know, what's the kind of positioning?
Yeah, it sounds kind of silly every time I say it, but when I left other brands that were very high profile and identified very easily in our industry, but when I started developing MÜV, I first started with the name. And I wanted to come with something that was very non-threatening. And movement is something that applies whether you're 5 years old or 85 years old. Everybody's got to move. So that means something different to everybody at different levels. But it was really about member results and really focusing on what the members' goals are and helping them achieve that, whether it's through weight loss, body symmetry changes, challenges that we do a lot, those types of things, the different types of programming that we sometimes license out. We do it within our own 4 walls also, but it really was about member results and focusing on that. Started out really with a 4-pronged R approach, which is results equals retention equals referrals equals revenue, but then subsequently have added relationship because we see the success the boutiques have, and we also have a boutique concept, and so we've added relationship to that because that's why people are so involved in, I think, in the boutique fitness, is that they develop such close relationships. They get the great results from those relationships, but it also becomes a third place where people can come and kind of leave at the door the stresses of the world, and just the benefits of exercise change their lives.
Right. Where were the most of your clubs, or where, like going through the pandemic, what states are most of your clubs based at that particular time?
Well, South Carolina, we have 7 clubs in the Columbia, South Carolina territory. And then we're in Oregon and Washington. We have associate clubs in Idaho and Montana also. And so very different in terms of the way that the local governments affected them. Effectively in Oregon and Washington, we were closed for 9 months. South Carolina was less. But we've performed very well, which has been in our Northwest markets and things like that. So we're excited to come out of it, but you're also a little tenuous because you don't know, well, are we done with this thing, or are we going to start moving into some different things? But yeah, we're all over the country.
How did you find it, particularly up in the Northwest, to get people back in when they said that you can open again? Did that take a long time, or was it quite, relatively quick?
Well, there's a whole demographic that is very cautious. And I think even to some degree, they're still waiting to come back and see what it's like. But there were also a lot of people that were almost like defiant in that, you've shut me down. You've told me what I couldn't do. Well, I'm going to show you what I can do. And so a lot of people were really anxious to come back and exercise. And so we recovered really fairly quickly, which was nice to see because we were down for so long, couldn't develop those relationships, didn't know what people were doing. A lot of things were going online and all those kinds of things, as well as we went online with some programming and those types of things. But at the end of the day, people like those relationships. It's that smile when they walk in, being recognized, being around that community of people. And I think that was really important for people, for their recovery, for their health, and the recovery for the social aspects also.
How was the online part of your business through the pandemic? Was that really just a way of just keeping those relationships more than anything else?
Absolutely. It was just, again, when you care about the results, it's one thing to say, well, our dues are shut off and our revenue streams and things like that, but it also ended people's workouts, at least as for us being able to provide it to them. So for us to have a significant impact on them from a exercise standpoint, we had to provide something. And so we did that through group fitness classes and those types of things, coaching through our personal trainers and that, and things like that.
How have you been able to kind of create, get any dialogue with your members now to see whether their needs have changed at all as they come out of that? Like, are they just wanting to get back in and just do what they did before? Or are you finding that any kind of new trends that people are asking that probably weren't as important pre-pandemic?
Well, it's really, really interesting because some of the things are very predictable, and then some of them aren't. And we use the MXM product.
What's that?
It's member experience management through Blair McCaney and his company, and it queries our members. So we get a lot of member feedback, create a lot of member metrics in terms of what the people want, and we've used that for a long time. And so that's kind of a mainstay on how we manage our business every day. I mean, still, some people are very concerned about others not wearing masks.
Really?
And we hear about that on a daily basis. That restricts the way some people work out, even they won't even come and work out. But we're really encouraged, too, by our small group classes, which we call MÜV Tribe. Our bar classes and some of those programs are really growing again. And I think that has to do with the social aspect of exercise. And they've kind of, some people have said, I feel comfortable enough to exercise in a group setting, and so they're doing that, and they're coming back in groves in that area of our business.
Are you able to identify the difference between people that are existing exercisers and people that, as a result of what's happened, feel as though health is now important and they need to find a brand to go and get healthy with?
Yeah, I think health has just become such a part of our everyday lives now, and that exercise and the benefits of exercise are even more prominent. I mean, we're starting to see all demographics, whether it be, I mean, certainly we've heard a lot about how certain demographics are really challenged by what we've had from a health perspective, but we're starting to see a lot of those also saying, well, I need to exercise more now. And so we're starting to see expanded, especially in the senior programming and those types of things, a lot of children's programmings. We also have nutrition as a major focus for us, which includes supplementation, and so we're seeing supplementation really be a focus for people, especially vitamin D and things like that we're being told about. So people are listening to what's being told, and I think they're applying it, and we're benefiting from it in the exercise industry.
Right. Do you think that's going to result, particularly for the MÜV brand, do you think that's going to result in you having a bigger catchment of people to sort of start bringing into your business? And if so, do you have to figure out how to sort of make your brand the brand of choice for those?
Well, I think that, again, we have basics in terms of movement and for the brand, movement and getting results is key. But it comes down to those everyday touches of each individual club. And I can tell you, each club, and depending on where we are, has a different personality and the way that we relate. We've got some clubs that are very driven by a senior demographic. We have some that are driven, by high schoolers and college kids and all those kinds of things. And the clubs take on those personalities. I don't really, as a brand, want to dictate what that personality is, because I think we're there to serve the community, and I think it's very, very important to take the dynamics of that community and then let that kind of permeate what our brand is in that particular market.
Yeah. How are you looking at your space in the next few years? Are you optimistic about there being? I know you've obviously got new clubs in the pipeline, but are you optimistic about going back and expanding again? Are you sort of thinking, look, we need to watch things out for another sort of 12 months based on everything else that's going on in the world? How's your view, in your position of where to go next and how hard to go in or back off?
Well, I certainly understand a cautious approach because we've come from somewhere that we've never been before, and what's it going to look like. But particularly for us, we're in expansion mode. And it just, when you talk about when certain people are being really challenged, that also opens up opportunities for others. And we're not really trying to prey on anybody, but there are some that have been less fortunate and are really challenged in their operation. That's creating whether it's specific facilities that we're taking over, which we've certainly done during the pandemic, or it also takes out certain players in a marketplace, and now the demographic becomes even more opportunity there, and so we're expanding into different demographics that we're not in right now.
You've been around for a long time in the industry, and you've seen a lot of things come and go, although you probably haven't seen a pandemic.
Yeah.
But what would you say as a brand in the fitness space now? What are some of the important skills that are required now different to before? So if you're hiring an executive team or just trying to sort of decide where to focus, are there any sort of differences that you've seen throughout your career that specifically apply to where we are today?
Well, I think it's a very interesting employment marketplace today. I think the one thing that we've confirmed even more, that we knew this all along, but we used to kind of feel like, well, if you put in a great facility, they will come. And that's true to a degree, if you do your analysis and you understand who your competition is. But at the end of the day, we can all lease or buy the same four walls. We all have the same opportunity for equipment. The difference is the people. And today's employment environment is like none I've ever seen. It's harder to hire people. The people that you do hire, the good people, they're probably more valuable than ever because they're harder to find right now. And so I think that's what really separates everything, is that this pandemic has brought such a hiring. You see it everywhere. When you're going through a city, it's now hiring. Wages are going up. And so I think it's because of that competitive environment for everyone to hire the great people, it also exacerbates the problem or emphasizes how we have to have great people in those clubs. Because we tell it all the time to them when I do my training. I tell the front desk, you're the most important people here, because there needs to be a smile, there needs to be recognition, building rapport with those people. Equipment doesn't do that. The benefits of exercise don't do that, although they reap the benefits and they feel great. But this has to be a place where they're recognized, where they're made to feel good, they can drop the cares of the day. So I think more than anything, it's really underscored the value of great employees, and then we have to be able to retain and track and train those great employees.
And on that then, what are you guys doing to attract some of the best people, and then not only attract them but keep them? Because that must be quite difficult as well, particularly things like personal training and that, where a lot of them have gone off and started on their own. And
I think a lot of it starts because of the nature of how we get our employees. A lot of times we get our employees from our members. They get around the club, they learn the environment, they maybe change themselves through exercise, and they start looking at, hey, this might be a neat industry to be in, and then the others come from referrals. So what we've really done is we've really hunkered down to almost life coach our existing employees. That means taking care of, we're in an inflationary period. You might be making exactly what you did last year, but it's not worth as much money now. And so we're teaching them how to take care of their debt, doing a lot of life coaching things, talking about how important their relationships are when they go home, when they're not at work, and taking care of their physical selves and all the different kinds of things. So I think the life coaching is really, really important to invest in your employees now, because they're the ones that go out and refer. They're the ones that talk about, well, I work at MÜV, and I love it there. I'm making good money, I've got great relationships, good facilities, when everything's feeling good. So I think the investment in the existing employees to improve their life actually is a strong recruitment tool for us as we grow new employees.
Yeah. Is that something that you see many people doing? I've not heard many people like doing life coaching for their staff. I'm sure there are, but I've not heard it. Is that, do you know that, is that sort of fairly common, or are you?
I'm not really exposed, probably close enough to other people, but I would imagine people are doing that because, I mean, just through social media and things like that, I see a lot of the great companies that we compete against and that we learn from. they seem to be investing time in group settings when people are going out, whether it's retreats or whatever. So I think a lot of people are identifying employees are really, really important right now.
In terms of Sibec, so what are some of the key things that you've decided to come here for this year?
Well, we're actually moving into a recovery brand, which will be new for us under MÜV brands. And I think recovery is so much a natural progression with exercise. I mean, really, what are we doing? We're breaking the body down. We're traumatizing the body. As we train, the results of an exercise program are really the body's defense mechanism to trauma. Well, that means recovery is significantly important, whether it's from an injury or it's just life. We teach quality movement. Well, sometimes your movement is really, really affected by injury or aging or whatever it might be. And so we're going to try to move into that. So I think there's a lot of emphasis here on the recovery, which again is just a natural progression for exercise. I think because we are growing, I think it's time to, we're going to get back in with the equipment companies and start talking to them. And right now they seem very happy to talk about that. And so as the industry comes out of this period, I think that there's going to be a great opportunity to share and work together to grow our industry back, get things going. And so it's really some of the main things, but recovery is going to be really, really important too.
Fantastic. Well, Joel, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Matthew.
Thank you.